So today we are doing a GPO Update 8 fruit tier list. These are for every single fruit in the game. I believe there's about 28 of them, so if I have them all, they should all be here. The tiers are S, A, B, C, and D. D being the worst of the lot and S being the best of the lot. Now, when you talk about tier lists, it could either be PvP or PvE. PvP being player versus player, and PvE being player versus environment, where it's just boss farming and stuff like that. So it could be either, I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit of both. Whereas like one fruit might be really good for PvE, one fruit might be really good for PvP, and there also might be another fruit that's really good for both, like a balance of each. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So before I continue any further, let me just also say, when I do tier lists, I don't really bother going from left to right. If they're on the same tier, they're on about the same levels. Obviously some fruits are probably better than others in that tier, but I'm not gonna bother saying like heal's not the worst on this list, and spin might not be the best. If that makes sense. But on D tier, we have spin, kilo, suke, and heal. This is pretty self-explanatory. They're all commons, they're all pretty bad. Heal's only really good for a battle royale, you know, healing your teammates, but you also have to have a lot of points into it to do good heal. Suke, you just turn invisible, it's useless. Kilo, you just fly up, come back down. Spin, you just spin. They're all pretty useless because they're all common fruits. Now in C tier, we have Mevo, Hovo, and Bari. These are all rare fruits, obviously they're lower down in the list just because they are rares anyway. However, these are all mainly PvP fruits. I don't really think you could see anyone using these for PvE. Bari is good, especially in duos and squads battle royale, but it is decent in battle royale. Hovo, I've seen people do one-shots with it, however you need to have every single point you have into fruit to do that. And Mevo, once again, is also only good for PvE. Or PvP, not PvE. PvP, Mevo is only good for. Now on B tier, we have Gomu, Yami, Bomu, Yomi, Ito, Por, Spring, Hiei, Gura, and Kage. Now, Gomu's only really on here just because of Gear 2. If Gear 2 wasn't in the game, Gomu would probably be on C tier, because Gomu is pretty good with the Gatling move at least. That's probably the only move on it, but with Gear 2nd, it gets a lot better. So that's why Gomu is in B tier. Now, Yami is a pretty all-rounder fruit. It's mainly good for PvP, however, it can also be useful in PvE, but I don't think it's on the same level as these three down here. So that's why I put it in B tier. Now, Bomu is exceptionally good if you are low level and you're starting to play through the game and grind through the game. It's a really good grinding fruit, which is why it's in B tier. If you can't get a legendary, then go for Bomu. It is probably your best bet, because you're not going to be getting Gomu Gear 2nd until you are like max level anyway. So you might as well just eat Bomu if you have the option to. Now, Yomi, once again, not really a PvE fruit, mainly PvP. It can be used for PvP, but you know, you see a lot of people using it in Battle Royale because of the extra life you get. I personally think this is the worst of the epic fruits in the game. There's only currently 2 epic fruits in the game, that being Yomi and Spring. I personally think Yomi is worse than Spring. Now Ito, only a PvP fruit, it really sucks in PvE. It has good movement, you can actually go faster than Pika Flight if you know how to use it. However, it is mainly used for PvP, so I'm just going to put it in here because it's not good for bosses or anything like that. Bor's probably one of the worst legendaries in the game. It's alright, but it is still really bad compared to other legendaries. So it definitely doesn't deserve any higher in my opinion, but I also don't think it deserves any lower on the list in my opinion. Now Spring is the best epic in the game in my opinion. There's only 2, so it's not much competition, but I've been playing through it from level 1 to max level recently. Gonna do a video for that. But I think Spring is the best epic, at least from what I've used, and there's only 2, so. And it's really fun. It's pretty decent for leveling. However, I could also see this being really good in PvP. I haven't tried PvP with it, but I do see it being pretty good in PvP, because a lot of its attacks are single targeted attacks, which if you're doing 1v1s and whatnot, single targeted attacks are pretty much what you want. Now I've got Hiei, once again one of the worst low tier legendaries. However, it's still pretty decent, mainly good for PvP because of the stuns and stuff. However, it can also walk on water, so if you're doing great Kraken stacking or anything like that, you can use Hiei for that. Now Gura, once again another low tier legendary. It's really good, especially for this update with the Colosseum, because you can get some high damage in the Colosseum. However, that's really about all it is good for, so I'm just going to keep it in B tier. Now Kage, I was tempted to put in C tier, just because Kage is probably, arguably, the worst legendary fruit. In my opinion at least, it's the worst legendary fruit. However, I'd say put it in B tier, just because it's a legendary. It can be good for certain things, however for the majority, it really sucks. Okay, in A tier we have Ope, Mochi, Yuki, Zushi, Suna, Goro, and Tori. Now this is where the majority of the mythicals are sitting right now, because Tori, the worst mythical in the game. It easily is. It's still a good fruit, however it is the worst mythical in the game. And also because it's a mythical, you know, had to kind of put on A tier. Now you've got Goro. Now I put Goro up here because I've used Goro quite a bit, and It's got a really fast flight. It's got good damage. It's good for PvP and PvE, I would say. Probably more PvP than PvE, but it's still good for both. I personally really love this fruit. I think it's a really, really fun fruit to use. So, it, you know, kind of a biasness, put it up there for me. Now, Suna is only in A tier because of the damage it can do. Suna, if you did not know, there are a bunch of people eating Suna just for the factory raid to get those legendary chests. That is really the only reason I've got it up here and not in B tier, just because of the amount of damage it can do to get those legendary chests in the factory raid. Now, Zushi, once again, I probably could have put this on B tier, however I put it up on A tier, just because right now the kind of meta for Kraken stacking is the Zushi hoverboard glitch, which if you want to know how to do that, I've got a video up for it, so you should go watch that. But, you know, it's the Zushi hoverboard glitch is kind of meta right now. It's also a good fruit for PvP. It's a really good fruit for PvP. And it's also decent for PvE. Mainly dungeons, you can easily, in my opinion, it is the second best solo dungeon fruit behind Meva. However, I also use this for the longest time. This is personally my first legendary, and it is a really, really good fruit, to be honest. I think it is a really good legendary. Then you've got Yuki being an A tier. Yuki isn't really that great apart from the mini bunny turret. However, it is also a decent, semi-decent fruit. It's better than some legendaries on B tier, so it's got an A tier. Now you've got Mochi, which is the third best mythical fruit. I believe it got nerfed with the dodges, so obviously that like backfired on it a little bit, you know, it doesn't make it as good. However, it's still a pretty decent fruit, so that it's in A tier. Now Ope, you might be thinking, why isn't Ope in S tier? Ope is, I mean, it's the second best mythical fruit, I would believe, but I don't think it belongs in S tier. I think the rest of the fruits in S tier are just better than it. And now up in S tier, we've got Venom, Pika, Meva, and Magu. Now let's just talk about Magu. I know Magu got buffed. I think the ultimate has like double the cooldown now, and a lot of it got buffed. However, it's still one of the best legendary farming fruits. It's really good for damage wise anyway. You can easily do Krakens with it. Bosses are really easy with it. So it is still a really, really good farming fruit. Meva, once again, a really good PvE fruit. I believe it could also do well in PvP. However, I think this fruit is mainly used for PvE. It is the best dungeon farming fruit. However, if you are doing dungeons in this time of the game, then I don't know what to say. You should just, dungeons are useless right now. But it is the best dungeon fruit. Then we've got Pika, which is basically the best pretty much everything. It's got the fastest flight in the game. Besides Itto, but you have to know how to use Itto to use it. It's really good for Krakens, especially Kraken stacking, and it's really good for bosses. So it is a really, really good fruit, and it is being absolutely overpriced right now just because of the lore ladder method. If you do not know what the lore ladder method is, once again I have another video on that. You can easily cheese lore with Pika. And now, what is arguably the best PvE fruit in the game is Venom. Venom is arguably one of the best fruits in the entire game for PvE or PvP, however it is also exceptionally good for PvE. I don't really think any explanation needs to be made for how good it is. Anyway, that is my tier list. If you would put anything else anywhere different, let me know. Obviously it's a tier list. Some of it's going to be factual, some of it is just going to be opinion based. Like for example, Sushi and Gorgo. I have quite fond memories of them. I think they are pretty good fruits, however some other people might not think they're as good. And Suna is also only really up there because of the factory. Stuff like that is where it goes into opinion, but also stuff like damage is where it goes into fact, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is my tier list. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you did enjoy, be sure to like, subscribe, click that bell so you never miss a video. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Join the Discord down below in the description. I'll see you guys later. Bye.